Oh, God. God, that was awesome!
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Okay. Now, I give you plenty of warning in the title of the video, even on the thumbnail, and it's been enough time, hashtag, and yet, you still clicked here.
Thanos demands your silence.
Thanos. Kidding me?
Really, though?
Yeah. Up his purpley... No. There's been way too much talk about... There's been way too much talk about Thanos. So...
I hadn't heard the Thanos yet.
I was going to do a spoiler-free review, but frankly, so many videos have already been around, and all of them have said, yes, it's awesome. Yeah, you're going to get everything you want out of it, which is funny.
That movie was...
Well, see,
That was the last movie, Jolie. I'm just glad that now, when Jolie snaps, she's not traumatized and crying and huddled in the corner. Like in a ball.
That's what I was going to be about Thanos.
So before we get any deeper into this, I should probably do intros. Of course, this is our spoiler discussion. For me, with me now is...
Pam Stone.
And?
Jolie Hart.
And we are all here representing Shakespeare's Terminator II. Yes, same story of Terminator 2, but more Shakespeare, because that's what every single story needs. Absolutely. It is playing at the Orlando Fringe Festival in the Gold venue, orlandofringe.org. Hashtag, come with us if you want to fringe. Right there. This totally fits. There's a Terminator reference in the movie, so we are totally justified in pimping out our wares.
Also Atlanta.
Oh, and Atlanta as well.
But I know it's hashtag ATL Fringe 2018.
After you Google Thanos and click on the gauntlet, just Google Atlanta Fringe.
Atlanta Fringe, Shakespeare's Terminator II. That's us. That's all of us. It could be you too. So come see the show. We're all here to discuss the obvious phenomenon that is Avengers Endgame. As you all know, I did my spoiler-filled discussion of Infinity War with Sam Falco, and you all know where I stood at the end of it, but I am... We'll start with Pam. How about your first experience with Infinity War? Where did it leave you at the end of it? The first time you saw it?
Ooh, devastated. But, okay. Like, I don't think I had quite as strong as reaction as most people did. Just because you know they're coming back. I mean, there was a trailer.
Did you though?
Yes, because they already had so many movies announced. Another Spider-Man, another Guardians of the Galaxy, another Black Panther.
I understand, but
you knew something was going to happen to fix this.
Okay, as someone who isn't as well versed on the comic book side of things, I had no reason to believe in any of these multiple universes. That's why, because they're always making new universes, and so I figured in my head this is what happens in this universe. Of course, there's more Spider-Mans and more Black Panthers. You know, things happen.
You thought they were going to Rick and Morty it?
Maybe. Yeah, but they could have, and I would have accepted it. I would have accepted it because
we're going to work on you.
Comics. They could have really pulled over anything on me, and I would have just been like, oh well, that's what they do.
Yes.
And that's why I think I was so traumatized.
I will say the thing that did shock me with Infinity War is the characters that were snapped out of existence versus the ones that stayed. That was surprising to me. Like T'Challa, never saw that.
And the best part is I love the way they framed that scene because he's taking the dominant attention and he's reaching out. He's reaching out to Okoye. He's taking the heroic position.
Yes.
And normally in any movie, the person taking the heroic position is the one who you think is going to be okay.
Yes.
But he's the one who gets phased out of reality, leaving Okoye just completely gutted at the sight of her king that she
Yes.
devoted herself to just also disintegrate to her very eyes.
I think the saddest ones, though, for me personally, first of all, Sam. Sam was very sad for me, also because nobody witnessed it. Obviously, Spider-Man. Everyone was traumatized by Spider-Man.
There was hints that because of his spider sense, he could sense it coming.
Yeah, that he knew it was coming, and that's devastating.
Yeah. So
Which leads me to the other one, Groot.
The reason why we're not asking Jolie about her experience is because I think you're kind of witnessing a reenactment of it right now.
Jolie, did we ever tell you what Groot's final words were to Rocket?
Oh, no, wait, I heard about this.
James Gunn confirmed this.
I heard about it, and I think I blocked it out because trauma is real. Trauma's a real
But
thing.
now it's okay, so we can reopen those wounds.
But we're talking about Infinity War right now, so I have to harken back to how I felt after we saw Infinity War.
Yeah.
And it was all trauma. It was all. That's all it was.
And we were all there consoling you afterwards.
God.
We were trying our damnedest to at least get you in fighting form to be able to drive home.
I sat in my car for 20 minutes. Like, you know, you do that thing when you've been out drinking, you just kind of sit there to kind of like sober up. I had to sober up like my
Emotionally.
heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So let's jump into Endgame now. I didn't do my review, but let's face it, you know what this is going to be. Perfect. 5 servings. So,
Flawless.
yeah.
I give it a 99.5%.
99.5%? What merited the minus 0.5?
Lack of goose.
Aren't you the cutest little thing?
That's fair. That is more
How-
than fair.
And we're going to get into actually what happened, but how badass would it have been if Goose showed up and swallowed the Infinity Gauntlet?
Oh, not just that. Just swallowed a whole bunch of Sakaran soldiers and
But
Chitauri
also,
soldiers.
the Infinity Gauntlet, and then Thanos couldn't get to it.
Oh. Yeah, but then but knowing Thanos, he'd do something horrible to Goose, so we wouldn't want that to happen.
I have to rate it just as high. I'll give it a 99.5, but honestly, I can't think of the 0.5 that would be taken off. I struggle with giving 100% on something.
The reason why I went for a full perfect, even though I did have some nitpicks, stuff that normally I would, but it would be great to placate my own fanboy soul, but in the grand scheme with the story that they're trying to tell, it wouldn't work. That would definitely, and we'll discuss it at length when we get deeper into it. But in the end, when I really thought pro and con, I was like, this is pretty much as perfect a movie as given the expectations that this movie was burdened with, and what it was meant to represent, and what it's supposed to be going forward. This was as good as it needed to be for all those purposes, particularly with what's to come afterwards.
It's extremely satisfying. Like,
Yeah.
satisfying is the word I keep coming back to.
That is exactly.
That's a great word for it.
The Russo brothers actually made a very strong promise that everything we saw in the trailers and all that was only in the first 15 to 20 minutes.
Somebody asked me, I can't remember who it was, why didn't, because I said I started crying within the first 5 to 10 minutes, and they're like, oh, it's when Tony Stark was on the thing doing recording the thing. I'm like, no, honestly, it wasn't, because I had already seen that.
I rewatched the trailer today, and there were definitely a couple of moments that were
A
later in the
little-
film. Just little bits.
Just little bits. And the first major thing that happens, much to our shock, is that they pretty much slaughter Thanos within the first 15 minutes.
That threw me off.
That
threw me for a loop real fast.
'Cause-
I'm like,
He's looking at you, Thor.
He's the one who probably, amongst the group, blames himself the most because, unfortunately, Thanos' words, you should have gone for the head.
And he should have.
If you notice the way when he buried the axe into Thanos and how he was ramming it into him, he was savoring it. He was basically being vengeful. He was just hell-bent to make Thanos suffer, and that was the fatal flaw. And he's going back, reflecting on the moment, and he's going, this is my fault. And the problem is you got a lot of these people all thinking it's their fault. But he's the one who's probably feeling it the worst because, right at that minute when he almost saved us all, he just kept savoring it.
Yeah.
In a way, it's a Oberyn Martell situation kind of thing, where it's
Yes.
where he delivered the death blow, but because he just wanted to savor it and because he didn't want to get the business done, but he just wanted to enjoy the moment, it cost him. But even when he slices off Thanos' head, walks away and he's like, yeah. It didn't do anything.
And the faces on everybody around him were just
mortified.
That just
It
happened.
wasn't the plan
To
to use
do
the
that.
gauntlet to destroy all of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah. There is something that I was concerned about, and mainly because we've had so much build-up to her, thanks to the fact that the movie prior was all about her. Captain Marvel got totally benched in this movie.
Yes,
So
so
much.
little Captain Marvel. Maybe that's your 0.5% for you.
Maybe that is my
That
0.5.
was
I
that.
feel like
Which
they
is kinda
definitely
similar to 0.5s.
underutilized her, considering
I
all
was-
the hype to bring her. Nick Fury's final page.
Even the press was building up that she's going to step in for Captain America after she's done, and they have her in the beginning. She does her part, saves Tony,
Yeah.
and also does a really good job helping to subdue Thanos in the beginning.
But then she just kind of goes off and like helps a bunch of other planets for
Which
a while.
she does make
It's
she does make a very strong point where she's
Yes.
like saying a lot of stuff's happening out there because this is happening in
Yeah.
thousands of planets all over. That's great,
For
but
the narrative, it kind of sucks because we really thought, she's here to save the day.
yeah, this was for me myself one of the points that I wanted to deduct points for. But then it helped me come to the realization: if this is going to be the swan song for a lot of the mainstay characters, this
You
story
want to focus on
this
them,
story had to
of
be
course.
this story had
Yes.
to keep its focus
I
on
agree.
those main characters. She comes back big and lays waste to Thanos' entire aerial fleet. So
Yes.
Yes.
And then leads a charge of all awesome women into battle, which
Yes.
was so cool.
oh, that was great.
What's the line? What's the line? She's got friends. Or
Yeah,
She's got friends.
yeah,
She's got helpers.
yeah. I mean, for obvious reasons, I
Not
think
alone.
She's
Yeah.
not alone.
for obvious reasons, I think the thing that just friggin' for me was when the Wasp showed up, because for me that was my disappointment at the end when the mid credits in Ant-Man and the Wasp was that I would have been okay if Hank and Janet got dusted, but the fact that Hope did too really hurt me because I was like, mainly because again, actually in a way it's like Captain Marvel where they spent so much time building up the Wasp with that movie. I was hoping that she would play a vital role in the movie, but then to see her pop up here made me happy.
But
The
at
fact-
least your greatest fear didn't come to fruition.
um,
Cassie.
oh God, yes.
Oh God, that would have killed me.
No, it would have killed me because
Yeah, hi. I had to watch Hawkeye's family disappear.
you had to watch. Yeah, you had to watch Hawkeye's family.
That
just-
is probably one of the moments that almost got me.
Yeah, well, and and you know what? Bless
I'm
the
a robot.
Russos.
I don't cry.
Bless the Russos for getting that out of the way like immediately.
Oof. That was
Uh,
rough though.
that was harsh. That was extremely harsh in the beginning. Yeah, Hawkeye, you
and
boy.
his whole family.
Yeah.
We're all thinking about our favorite characters,
has-
and mine just had like the best trip ever.
I actually did predict that Scott might have gotten dusted if he weren't in the quantum realm.
Statistics are definitely weird on this. I mean, the
Mm.
fact that all six, I mean, obviously for storyline purposes, that's why.
Yeah.
But the fact that in Infinity War, it was so interesting that all six of the original Avengers survived.
Survived it. Yeah. When Scott arrives back, comes out of the quantum realm, it's been 5 years later. That's the thing I think that's shocked us all is that there's a subtitle 5, and they linger on years.
5.
Years
Years
later. That was beautifully sadistic, and I love that. But when Scott comes out, he comes back to find that Cassie is like in her probably I think mid-teens.
Yeah.
I think at this point, and I was like that.
And do we think that she's living alone, by the way? Because we don't see
Um,
her mom or her stepdad.
The world's in chaos. I bet all kinds of.
Yeah, well,
Anarchy
bear in mind
in the
her
light
bear in
or
mind her
whatever.
stepdad's a cop. The reason why I would have been so affected if Cassie had gotten dusted, Cassie is Scott Lang's everything.
Oh yeah.
If his entire motivations for like everything he does is to be a great man for his daughter, to be the best man for his daughter. Like the whole part where he's looking at the in memoriam, I was freaking out like him, just like clutching my consolation animal, just making sure that
I thought he was gonna find Cassie's name on it.
yeah, I was
I really
freaking
did.
out. But then when I saw her that she's older, I was like, I
I
don't
love that
know
he found his own name though, because
Yeah.
what else were they led to believe?
what else were
but
they gonna think.
that he was snapped
Exactly.
away?
But then to see her older, I was like, and then it occurred to me, why is it every time Scott's always in some kind of prison before he gets some kind of every time 3 years in San Quentin, 2 years on house arrest, and now 5 years in the quantum realm. He's always
The
always.
Being
next
held
Ant-Man
against
movie,
his
what are
will.
they gonna do?
Oh, poor guy. We need tacos. And because it's a personal nickel, that's why I didn't deduct any points. They abuse the hell out of Scott in this movie.
They really do.
They treat him
How dare they
horribly.
do tacos?
They treat him horribly, and he's the one who comes in with the solution to solve all their problems. And here they are treating him
It
like
really
he's
is
nothing.
his idea.
Yeah,
Totally
His idea, but he did need others to execute.
he didn't. But he's willing to. But that's the thing. He's the kind of guy who's, as a guy who's good at engineering heists, he understands the value of a team. But the fact that they don't.
Time heist.
It's his scheme, but they just keep abusing the hell out of the poor guy. Bashing his tacos, calling him pissant. Rocket
Little guy.
dabbing him on his head, calling him a puppy. And he was like, you guys.
He's the everyman. We're kind of seeing
really is.
everything is almost through Scott's eyes in a way because he's experiencing all this kind of for the first time. He doesn't know what it's like to be like amongst all of these big heroes.
Exactly. He always, like he's always done, just relied heavily on just natural instinct, luck, and ingenuity. That's always been the thing that carries him through.
Hulk took care of him.
But you know what? Yeah, the Hulk did help him out, and actually
He gave him more tacos.
he gave him replacement tacos to make up for the ones he missed. So bless you, Hulk. And that does actually segue into the next great thing about this movie, which we found. Yeah, the Hulk.
Oh!
This was actually something that we've always kind of felt leaning towards, is the idea that finally Banner was finally going to come to peace with the Hulk to the point where he is
Eating breakfast burritos.
wrapping pancakes, sausages and eggs in pancakes as breakfast burritos, which, you know what?
Just like a bowl of eggs in front of him.
Absolutely. He's like, I've never seen Bruce Banner so happy.
Yeah.
He's
He's
just
at peace.
he's so at peace. I wanted to hug him. I mean, I know I'd die, but you know, I'd hug him because he just seems so happy. He just seems so at peace with himself. He's dabbing.
He dabbed!
He dabbed!
For the kids, man. For
For
the
the
kids.
kids.
Taking selfies. It's all very sweet.
Yeah.
He's used to everybody being afraid of him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly.
Everyone loves him now.
Recently I just did my Marvelous retrospect on Incredible Hulk, and I was always thinking to myself, had Edward Norton continued on, would it have felt the same? It would have felt different. I just could not picture Edward Norton doing the things that Mark Ruffalo has done as the Hulk, and I think finally this is the apotheosis of what he's achieved in the role.
Good word.
Thor, Slob of Thunder.
Dad bod Thor. Bro Thor.
Dad bod Thor.
Dad bod Thor. Hell, that was pedophile Uncle bod Thor.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
he was struggling. This
Yeah,
entire
that-
movie.
Actually, I have no positive side to this. It was just sad seeing him beating himself up so bad that he turned himself into that wreck. But it was
It was funny.
it was hilarious.
It was really funny.
And I think if there's any greatness that came from Thor Ragnarok is that we really got to show off how great Chris Hemsworth is as a comedic actor. And he milked every opportunity he had out of this character arc. And I'm left to wonder, particularly since he's in the movie, I'm wondering if him and Taika Waititi heavily collaborated with the screenwriters on how to execute this. Because a lot of his delivery was the kind of delivery that we saw out of him in Ragnarok.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if Taika Waititi might have consulted as
I
well.
Be surprised.
Because one thing Chris Hemsworth actually said is that when he jumped into Infinity War, he openly said, "I don't want us to negate all the things that we worked really hard at with Ragnarok."
Right. He said he never wants to do another Dark World.
Even Idris Elba, who was sick and tired of it, when he did Ragnarok, they were like, "This is a completely different movie we're working on, and I feel great." So, thank you, Taika.
Not to jump too far ahead, but on the subject of Thor, the way his story ends, I am so excited about the idea of him joining that group of misfits and taking it on with the Guardians.
Guardians
That's
plus
so
Thor.
great.
Oh yeah.
And he has such great chemistry with Chris Pratt. The way that they egg each other on, it's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, the Chris's.
Oh, the Chris's. Yeah, two Chris's, one movie that's going to be fantastic. And actually intrigued to see if he's going to carry over into Guardians 3 with them.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I've even
That's
heard,
what I think so.
I've even heard rumors about that he's talking with Taika Waititi right now about brainstorming a fourth Thor movie.
Good. I feel like he got re-energized in Thor Ragnarok. Maybe doing the original Thor and then Dark World, the Avengers, Age of Ultron. He was kind of in this one type of character. And I feel like he just got reinvigorated by Thor Ragnarok, and it made him probably fall back in love with the character.
And you really got to see how much fun he was finally having in the role because of all the stuff they had him doing here as well. I was really happy they brought back Rene Russo to as Frigga to have them have their little Frigga. Despite how much emotional weight we were supposed to have with her death in the Dark World, we didn't get enough.
I feel like we could argue that we got more of it from Loki, from Tom Hiddleston's performance of Loki.
I mean, most people would instinctually think, why don't you go to Odin and have this conversation? No, they went to Frigga and talked about it, which I think felt a whole lot better, because he seemed like he was much more affected by her death. I guess because it was so sudden, as opposed to Odin, who was more peaceful.
How crazy was that to bring Natalie Portman back as Jane for no lines? Just literally
no
just
lines,
to
just for insert
be laying
shots.
there.
Insert shots.
I'm okay with it.
You okay with
I
that?
wanted more Loki.
Yeah.
Apparently now we will. The big thing that Scott reveals that they can try to do and they achieve it, time travel.
Time travel.
That could be like a cheap like reset button
Mm-hmm.
thing. And there is and even when I heard the synopsis, that was one of the few things that got spoiled with me.
Oh.
Was the fact
You
well in a way I kind of predicted it because Janet did like warn him about time vortexes in the quantum realm. So I had a feeling time travel was going to play
I
into
did
it.
too, but
Yeah.
it played it out in a completely different way than I expected. I thought they
Yeah.
were going to time travel back to the moment of the snap and
Yeah.
stop it.
That's what I thought. I thought it was going to be something simple.
And it wasn't.
Yeah, and then exactly. And then it turned out no, they're actually going to go back to when they can get the easiest places they can get a hold of the Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
And
Such great fan service because it literally almost kind of took you back to the beginning,
yeah.
and you were
It
reliving
was
like
so
early
wonderful.
moments of Captain America, early moments of the first Avengers movie. It was just so great.
Yeah.
And scenes
Dark
that weren't
World
in
of all
those
things,
original.
but-
I like Dark World. But
I know.
I like Dark World. I like Iron Man 3. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh no, I love Iron Man 3.
Yes.
A thing that delighted me about going back to New York at the Battle of New York, because I know after Doctor Strange came out, everyone was talking about, where the hell are the Master of the Mystic Arts in the midst of all that? Well, now we know.
The Ancient
The
One
Ancient
was fighting.
Yes! We got back Tilda Swinton as the freaking Ancient One, and
She was fighting some fucking alien invasion. Shit.
Yes,
Great.
from the roof of Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village. I love that so damn much
It's great.
to see Tilda Swinton back because me and Lynn just adored Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. Just it was such a wonderful out of left field casting choice, and she played it with such a delicate, eccentric glee,
She
which
always
just
does.
I love Tilda Swinton. And I will say the scene with her and the Hulk is outstanding, particularly when she punches his astral form out.
But anyway, as I was saying with the whole Loki thing,
Yeah.
what a fantastic and creative way to bring him back into the mix after he was very brutally and officially killed off in Infinity War.
Yeah, so he's still dead, technically.
Still dead, but in the past, he gets his hands on the Tesseract again and just zaps away. And who knows what trouble he's going to get into, but we'll probably find out.
Because he
on
has a
the-
TV series.
on the new Disney streaming. What will be fun is we'll have the pre-redeemed Loki.
Mm.
We'll have still the kind of like Neil Loki. It's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
And now we're back to a Gamora who, unfortunately, is still battle-hardened and still emotionally distant.
But yet they found yet another creative way to use the time travel weirdness
Yeah.
to bring Gamora back because it's a Gamora from the past
Yeah.
brought back to the present.
No, and this is going to be totally inevitable because as a Doctor Who fan, I have to deal with this on a constant basis. You're going to have people coming around, commenting about the inaccuracies of time travel. One question: when have you ever time traveled?
No, I haven't. Yeah.
So how do you know? How do any of us know?
We kind of briefly brought up the idea of, the new series coming out, which
Yes.
makes me want to talk about the first thing that really, really, really traumatized me in this movie, which was that
Black Widow.
Oh, yeah,
me up.
yeah. That
It did, but I was at the same time I was going, yay! It wasn't Hawkeye, my favorite.
I
Satan."
know, but
I know.
I'm really glad I'm sitting between you two right now because I'm
Ooh.
predicting cat claws coming out of both of you.
we would never fight about it.
Damn it, Nebula! Why didn't you warn them about the possibility that this might happen?
Because they
Did
wouldn't
Nebula
have
know?
For the same reason that Doctor Strange doesn't warn Tony about
Yeah.
what has to happen. It may not have happened the way it was supposed to if she warned them.
But then again, also in Nebula's defense, she probably didn't even know the circumstances of why.
True. As far as she knows, just Thanos just killed Gamora there.
Because he's an asshole. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Maybe she didn't realize it had to be a trade for the Soul Stone.
yeah, that's probably the major factor. So, but it was actually kind of cool the way they played that scene where you didn't. They were playing it. It could have gone either way between either Hawkeye or Nat.
I really thought
well-
it was gonna go just because of how they kind of played this, who he turned into as the
Yeah.
5 years kind of played
Honestly,
on.
I would have thought the same thing had I not been spoiled by a troll on the internet 6 hours prior
Seriously,
to seeing
internet?
the movie.
Again,
That's
hashtag.
The two major deaths of the movie spoiled it for me 6 hours before. Not even on an Endgame article, completely unrelated article, and they're just like, "Oh, we're just gonna ruin your day. Thanks, thank you,
Bastard.
troll."
Thank
I
you.
don't like people.
Unfortunately, Black Widow was spoiled for me prior to seeing the movie, so as they were fighting over it, I'm like, "Well, obviously I know which one it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that honest reaction.
And it's also the unfortunate truth, and I think she even says it. Apart from the Avengers, what else did she really have to live for?
And she knows that he has this family that
Yeah.
he wants to get back to more than anything. And she knows the family. They call her Aunt Nat.
The source of his rage is about the fact that his family's dying. Like, the whole reason he's doing this is to get his family back. So what would be the point of him doing all this if he's going to die right here and now?
Well,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
on the flip side, sacrificing yourself to have your family back is still a noble thing. So
yeah.
either way, either one of them that died, it would have been tragic and beautiful at the same time.
Either way, yeah, that scene could have gone one way or another, but either way,
It could have.
But at the same time, though, it was the right way to go.
Black Widow being an original Avenger, I kind of thought it could.
Mhm.
They're saving all of these guys. All
Yeah.
of the originals are here for a purpose, and yet, actually, they weren't this whole time.
Yeah, another bit of time traveling antics, which was fascinating for me because I never thought I'd ever re-feel the tension of a particular scene. The fact that we had a brush with Hydra again in
I know what
the
you're gonna say.
elevator.
I know.
Elevator, that was
Yeah.
So, yes.
great.
Elevator, yes. But are we gonna talk about
We will get to that. Jolie's favorite moment.
dad? No, I was talking about dad moments, not America's ass.
No. We'll talk
But
about
we'll get to America's ass.
Oh no, well we might as well begin with America's ass because let's face it,
Thank you,
that was probably-
America.
yeah.
Thank
From
you.
here on in, I never thought I'd ever not look at Captain America again without thinking that is America's ass. And Ant-Man coined the phrase. My boy coined the phrase.
That was,
Again, another vital gift that Ant-Man gave us all. The term America's ass.
I'm gonna take it with me
You're welcome.
throughout my years.
I don't know which one is a better moment for Jolie though. Was it America's ass itself, or two Captain Americas?
Why can't it be both?
It's like a sexy America's ass sandwich right there.
Yeah.
It was like all the excitement you felt when you first fought Dark Link.
Yeah. Awesomeness, fun.
But then it was
But neither of them were dark. They were both the good guys.
It was awesomeness
the
slap between
sexiness.
awesomeness
It was-
slap between four buns.
I was sitting next to Jolie at that moment.
Asterisk,
I looked
America's
over.
asses. America's asses.
They recreated, and it's all the same, practically the same cast who are in the stunt cast who were in that same elevator.
Was
They-
it the same stunt cast? That's
It
awesome.
was the same stunt cast, and they got Frank Grillo back
I
as.
know they had Frank Grillo back.
Yeah,
which
they
was
got
really
him back
great
to play.
see.
Yeah, to play Rumlow, and they even got Sitwell back for that scene. They were painstakingly recreating that famous
And I
elevator brawl.
actually really thought I was going to go for a fight.
I thought it was too, but then
Better thing happened.
even funnier is that they did a great, like, I don't want to call it a f*** you moment, but honestly it felt like a great nod to a famously maligned comics arc
Yes.
of when Cap whispers to him, "Hail Hydra." The comics fans are probably shitting
Yes.
and coming at the same time because that moment was kind of,
I was very excited for that moment because I remember that point in the comics.
yeah, everyone was mad but at the same time intrigued, and I was like, oh my god, the fact they actually pulled that off.
It was a
And
great
it's-
little Easter egg for
Yeah.
the comic book fans.
And that
And a great way for him to get out of that situation.
There's a whole thing about, like, this is actually the one movie where everyone's, like, debating whether or not fan service is truly a bad or good thing. I think this is the one movie where every moment of fan service was very well thought out. It was exactly...
It really was.
It was just the right
and none
amount.
of it felt just thrown in there for the fans. It
Yeah.
all had its purpose.
Exactly. And speaking of fan service moments that fulfilled the vital purpose, going into Daddy.
Daddy.
Going into
Roger Sterling.
back to 1970s to back to Camp Lehigh, where we end up running into Howard Stark pre-Tony birth. And
Will always be Roger Sterling.
And Mr. Potts.
oh yeah, and Howard Potts.
How
Yeah, Tony.
And one of the most surprising and fun and unexpected cameos possible,
Oh God.
Jarvis.
They got back
my
James Darcy to come back
gosh.
to reprise Jarvis. This is the first time in the history of the MCU where they have crossed over the TV to the movies.
And the first time he, as that character, has appeared in any of the movies, which is so cool.
Yeah,
Jarvis was good. That
yeah.
was a great
The
moment.
fact, and he only is there for 2 lines, but everyone felt it because it was just so cool that finally
I could hear it too.
marked that that they were actually willing to acknowledge the movies to the TV.
At that point, we'd seen Peggy, so
Yeah,
it
we
was-
got we got to see
Boom.
Peggy.
Wonderful moment.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. And for even a little extra bonus with me, you get to see a very young Hank Pym like right on the cusp of becoming. You can tell he's on the cusp of becoming
hair.
Ant-Man. Oh yeah, that was
The hair.
yeah, and it's all about Tony actually giving fatherly advice to his own dad about about the fact that Tony's about to be born. That's kind of like a nice. That's one of the fun things you can do with time travel, and they took advantage of it because here you have Tony now, who's now an experienced dad by comparison to where Howard is, and he's actually giving fatherly advice to Howard Stark.
It was so heartwarming.
It was great.
It was.
And again, if you have watched Agent Carter, and you know about Howard Stark and his whole history, this actually is incredibly sweet. It even, in a way, closes off Howard Stark as a character. Next thing we need to talk about is Nebula's journey to Morag, but ultimately it leads to Thanos in general. Like we all said, he is a different kind of Thanos compared to the one that we encountered in Infinity War. This one, actually, the thing that scared me even more about Thanos here is seeing he's seen the fruits of his labors. He thought everyone was going to be grateful. He thought everyone was going to be like all happy that he did what he did once they looked in perspective. But then to see that even 5 years later, we're still pissed and we still want this fixed. And the fact that he finds himself...
But he didn't care.
Well, no, it's not so much that he didn't care. It was the fact that he was disappointed that everyone was, ungrateful. And so he decided, you know what, you ungrateful bitches, get me that damn glove. I'm just going to wipe you all out and just start all over from scratch.
He's a different villain.
Yeah, he becomes...
He becomes a villain in this movie.
Yeah.
Do you feel like part of it is seeing his own death?
A lot of it is that, and the fact that... Yeah,
Ooh, I didn't think of that.
that could have been... Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and because...
He sees the moment of his own demise. After his success, he sees that he doesn't get to enjoy it for very long.
He doesn't get to enjoy it, and
maybe
no
it's
one...
his kind of like self-serving, self-saving
Yeah.
kind of thing to do where,
I'm
okay,
gonna do it
I'm just going to
differently.
wipe you out, so then
And the fact that,
clearly I didn't wipe out enough of
yeah.
you.
I didn't wipe out enough of you, and those of you who survived are ungrateful for my efforts.
And will eventually kill me.
Yeah, for it. So you know what? Screw y'all. I'm just gonna take the God complex even further.
Yep.
So that made him even.
Sucks to watch.
So in that final battle, when we get up to, I was even more intimidated by him because he was fighting as a man possessed, like to the point where he was just like. He was more merciless. I'd say even more here than he even was in Infinity War, and he was.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and wait.
Yeah.
I get the people that understand where he's coming from.
Mm.
There is a
There
set
is
of personalities that I understand can rationalize and accept sometimes those, hard to swallow pills that yes, these are possible solutions to existing problems.
The final battle comes up. They get a hold of all the Infinity Stones. They make their own version of the Infinity Gauntlet. Hulk does the snap. And we get a living comic book splash page for pretty much the next 45 minutes
It was awesome.
of a movie. And
Flew by.
yeah, that was like the Battle of Helm's Deep. That was the Battle of...
that was Helm's Deep.
I
That
feel
Yeah.
like it was
Helm's
actually
Deep
even
battle.
more epic because before the battle even started, you had the reintroduction of every major character that had been snapped out of existence.
Yeah, every
That
single
moment.
one. Every single
All
one,
of
and
them were
I
back.
was so thrilled. Every single one popped up. Though I will say there was a danger to having James Darcy show up in it because I was like, wow, if they were able to get them in, do you think they might have? Because there's a little part of me wondering if through one portal, all of a sudden, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist show
That would
up.
have been really cool. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where are you guys?
I mean, I've already seen it twice now, and I'm trying to remember all the little...
It started with Black
Yeah.
Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther
Shuri.
coming in, Shuri and Okoye coming in, and they bring in like all the armies of Wakanda who got dusted, and I was like, oh, that's getting real right there. But
That
then
was awesome.
Doctor Strange coming in with all the Guardians and Spidey, and
Everybody. Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. Oh, that was. I love the fact they took the time
That was
and
on a
gave.
warpath.
Oh,
That woman. She's a woman wronged.
there.
Look out for her.
She's made from an Infinity Stone, so she is bad.
Yeah, and even the part where she's like crushing it. This was me with my hands. I was like, I was like Yago in Aladdin. Squeeze him, Jafar. Squeeze him like.
Her being one of my two favorite characters. Super excited to see her kick
That-
ass in this
Yeah,
She deserved it.
She absolutely did. She absolutely did. And there was a part of me wishing that she was the one to deliver the killing blow, but simultaneously you got all these other characters doing all these other things. I mean, and yeah, going back to Captain Marvel.
But she did some serious damage
Yeah,
personally on
she
Thanos.
did. Actually, to
which
the
was
point-
Great.
Actually, yeah, to the point where Thanos actually had to summon a full bombardment of the battlefield because she
Uh-huh.
was hurting him so hard. So
Yep.
good on you, Wanda.
Good on you, Wanda.
And then you had and in comes Carol stopping that bombardment. And I will say I loved her fight with Thanos as well. I love the fact he headbutted her and she didn't even flinch.
Yeah, she just kind of no.
Yeah, no.
Take that back.
And incidentally, I love that haircut, by the way.
I do like it.
It-
She can work a pixie cut. It's
She-
I
not
didn't
fair.
read a lot of Captain Marvel, but it was very, for me, reminiscent of 80s Storm from the X-Men.
Yeah, kind of.
Ooh.
Especially with her like showing up with all of this lightning and stuff.
Though I do have to voice. This is my tome of sympathy as a cosplayer. I have to sympathize with every Captain Marvel cosplayer who worked tirelessly to have
Their
all their
wigs.
no, not the wigs, to have their costumes all ready in time for her movie. And then all of a sudden to find out that in the beginning of this movie she has a completely different variation of her outfit, and then in the latter half to have a completely drastically different variation of the outfit, and unfortunately they all look awesome. So I'm like, oh, you poor Captain Marvel cosplayers, you just got started, and now you've been bombarded with 3 of them. I mean, at least with me with Ant-Man, I mean, I only had to wait a couple years, and then all of a sudden, Civil War changed it, I skipped it over, and now I'm starting with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I feel your pain, kind of, but I hope, at least you have a great selection to choose from. So from one cosplayer to another, you have my sympathies.
So we were talking about the big battle, but we actually skipped over a very important part of the big battle before everybody shows up.
Mm.
When it's just Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America taking
Oh,
on
God.
Thanos. And one of the most epic moments from the comics finally took place that was only been hinted at before.
And even
I know exactly what you're talking
tickled upon in Age of Ultron.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Tickled upon.
Captain America.
When they were drunk.
Not just picked up Thor's hammer, not just wielded it, but actually was able to call upon the
The
power of lightning
Mm-hmm.
to fight Thanos.
Yes.
Mjolnir.
Brought in Mjolnir.
It
Oh.
was so
And
great.
And here's the
It
thing,
really was.
and actually I was talking with some of our friends regarding this, like what was it that finally enabled him to be able to lift it? You have to go back to think about Age of Ultron and think about when he slightly nudged it. Mjolnir obviously sensed that he is a man who has the capabilities to wield it,
Worthy, yeah.
but at the time, Steve still had a lot of baggage under his belt. First off, the major thing was the fact that he was kind of keeping a dirty secret. He was doing something selfish. He was
What are we
keeping
talking about?
he was keeping the secret about Bucky.
Did he already know about that?
Yes, he
I
did.
didn't find out about that until Civil
Yes, he
War.
did. Winter Soldier, he found out about.
Did he find out in
He
Winter
found out
Soldier?
that he did when Zola info dumped him. He saw that Winter Soldier was responsible for the
So that didn't
assassination.
happen to Civil War. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about Cap, but let's talk about and this leads us conveniently to the ultimate sacrifice of all. Let's talk about Tony.
The other thing that was spoiled for me, FYI, Black Widow.
I
and
cannot
Tony.
What?
imagine.
6 hours. I only had 6 hours to go.
Oh.
It was lunchtime. Damn it.
There was a part of me always hinting at the very real possibility that this was going to happen.
Everybody knew
I
it
really
was
thought we
gonna
were gonna lose
happen.
him. I
Well,
thought we were gonna lose him in Infinity War.
It could have.
so.
Well,
But people thought it was going to happen based on the trailer, based on what we saw in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
yeah.
And it took another 3 hours
0 hours to get to it.
Are you
for.
getting emotional?
See,
We're going to hold hands.
Yes.
you hold hands. You
We
hold
got
hands.
this.
This was something that, well, let's face it, it could have gone one way or another because it was a fact. Robert Downey Jr., beyond contractual obligation, this was something that Robert Downey Jr. had always said needed to happen at a certain point. And if there was, it
He's
could
been
have.
doing this longer than any of them.
He is the grand.
Chris
He,
Evans said it too, that he wasn't going to come back, and they could have easily found a way to kill off Captain
they
America
could have
as
done.
well.
Yeah.
But they did find a way to end his story without killing him. off.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I argue, could they have done that with Iron Man? I'm bitter.
Not really.
Well,
I'm
that's
bitter
where my
and sad
Goose the
for-
cat theory comes in. Had Goose the cat shown up and just eaten the Infinity Gauntlet, we wouldn't have had to lose Tony. Just saying. Where were you, Goose? Just like a cat.
It was still played to its peak. He even got his nice little badass platitude right before he snapped his fingers to save the day. He got to say the signature line.
He also
And
got to have that really nice moment
Mhm.
with his surrogate son.
with Peter Parker,
He
he
got
got
to have the
a
reunion.
great.
Yeah, he had the reunion
Yeah.
with Peter Parker, and they hugged. Remember the scene, like, when he's, like, reaching
Yeah.
for the car door, and it's like, it's not a hug,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not a hug, man.
Yeah.
And he finally got the hug.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, one thing we did not mention, and it's something I think is vital, but it's a good time we mention it now. The fact that Pepper got to wear a freaking suit. She became Rescue.
I love
She got to become
that.
Rescue, and she got to kick as much ass as everyone else. That was the greatest thing. Because that was something people wanted even in Iron Man 3 when, she got to wear the suit in that one. People were waiting on her to become Rescue. And the fact that we got to see her actually become Rescue, actually wear the suit, and actually kick wholesale ass, I was like, that was the greatest. That was another one of the things I was so happy to see. And who knows? I mean, could this mean that Gwyneth Paltrow could continue on? Who knows? I mean, in all likelihood, Tony might have taken that time to teach her how to make suits.
I do. I would love to see the continuation of
Pepper.
Of Pepper. Sure,
Yeah.
I love Pepper.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Of Happy and Baby Star.
Well, we are actually going to see more Happy.
No, 'cause he's in the next Spider-Man
He's in the
movie.
He's in the next Spider-Man movie.
Apparently
wanna
hitting
see-
on
Yeah.
Spidey's mom.
Everyone's hitting on Aunt
Everybody's.
May. Everyone's hitting on Aunt May. What are you hitting that?
Well,
Well, I
See
mean,
Marissa
you
Tomei?
give us a
Have
hot, young Aunt May.
Well, because Marissa Tomei is having the same stuff Paul Rudd's having, looking that good at that age. So
Whatever's in that water, whatever they're taking, bring it my way.
I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure I'm drinking the same juice, so.
Yeah, you are, and you're not sharing.
Nope.
So this does lead to a beautiful funeral sequence, calling back to that wonderful thing that Pepper gave him as he floated away. But there was one moment that confused us all in that funeral,
Yes.
and we all
had
had
to fix it.
Google had to fix it, which incidentally, do that thing on Google with the Thanos search. It's really awesome. They kind of did a Return of the King thing where all the characters came into Frodo's room, kind of thing. But in this case, the camera's panning to see like basically everybody, except there was one person that we didn't recognize because we forgot there's this little thing called the passage of time, and that kids do this thing called growing up.
I had this moment where I was like, who's that Andrew Garfield
Looking
not
kid.
really Spider-Man
It
looking
really
kid?
did look like
Yeah, and then because he had like dark hair and just as
Standing by himself.
and we didn't stop to even remember the possibility that this is the kid Ty Simpkins who played Harley in Iron Man 3, the kid who really came through for Tony when he needed him.
Was invited to the funeral.
And we forgot that it has actually been around the time they were filming this about 5 years since.
Plus 5 years into post snap.
So yeah, the kid's grown up, and we're like, oh crap, it's Harley, it's little Harley now all grown up. And so for all you people still confused as to who that kid was, that's who it was. It was Harley. That it was very clear that Tony still had a fondness for the kid. In all likelihood, probably helped him, probably moved him up academically. So mystery solved. That's who that kid was. But as it turned out, that wasn't the only finale we faced. Yes, we end up having Cap's swan song, which was, which one could definitely say is bittersweet. I think bittersweet is part of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and really for all of his struggles, and for all the people who unfortunately were affected by his struggles, it was probably the right way to end it. Again, fan servicey, but let's face it, it was the kind of service that was right for the character. So.
And he finally got his dance with Peggy.
He got the dance with Peggy.
It made me
And-
think of Up.
Oh.
It made me think of Up. And the song that they were playing,
Ouch.
granted,
Too soon.
a standard, but in a great way.
Too soon.
No, but in like a romantic beginning of
Mm.
Up way, because the song that they even chose to have playing behind their dance sounded like the theme from Up.
Yeah. Ooh.
It sounded like it. Like,
Disney connection.
It had it.
But on a happier note, Cap passes on his shield at his ripe old age
As Repple
to
Age.
the next Captain America,
Sam Wilson. And
Falcon no more.
got the blessing by Bucky as well.
Mhm.
That was the cool part. And now this was.
Bucky's
Who
now the
I
White
love.
Wolf.
Yeah, Bucky's the White Wolf now in the MCU. He's the White Wolf. But the thing, but there was a lot of speculation on this point because both of them, both Bucky and Falcon, both became Captain America at one point or another. Falcon is still Captain America right now, and he's doing a fantastic job. I actually read a recent Ant-Man comic where he teams up with Falcon, and he's doing an amazing job. Which I gotta say, anyone who is still dissing Falcon, there's a great bit where Falcon ran through a freaking giant with his wings. Man.
I was dissing
Always loved Falcon.
Oh no, years. No, before.
I actually prefer
no.
Falcon to like Warhammer
Oh, no,
or any
War
of the
Machine.
others. War
Warhammer?
Machine. Wow. Video game nerd, come on.
Okay.
Skyrim.
Long before Winter Soldier came along, Falcon was another joke character. He was another joke character for a lot of people. A lot of people heckled him. Well, because let's face it, in his early iterations, his costume was pretty awful. But
now,
he
will
also
he still have his falcon wings as he's also wielding
Yeah.
the shield? Because that's going to be awesome.
Oh no! In the comics, that is exactly what it is. He's a hybrid. It's like a Cap Falcon hybrid, and it looks incredible. So no, that's what you will get. That is what you will get in time
Plus,
comes. And
aren't we getting the TV show?
we are getting a TV series, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're getting them.
That's the buddy
of all
comedy I've
the-
been waiting for.
Of all the ones of that Disney Plus has announced, that's the one I'm the most excited about. Mainly because of all the great little bits between Bucky and Falcon in
I'm
Civil
a big
War.
Bucky fan.
Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of people are Bucky fans. Where do we go from here? That is the freakiest question
I
of
think we
all.
kind of have to accept the conclusions of some of these stories.
Mm.
So while this
So-
is the end, whether it's Endgame or Spider-Man, while this is the end of Phase 3, it's also the end of one just over
22 films.
arc of the saga of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah,
Where do we go from here as a team? What villain is
What-
there out there?
that's going to be bigger than
Yeah,
what
that's
Thanos.
going to
Thanos.
cause
The
them
comic
all
books
to come
enough to
back
predict
together.
that.
I have some predictions on that
There's
front.
that one, what's his face?
Well,
Who's
there's-
Silver Surfers.
Oh, Galactus.
Yes.
I know Galactus is the big favorite that everyone's saying. If there's anyone who could be
Swallower of Worlds.
the Eater of Worlds, he is
Eater of Worlds.
he is colossal.
King of the Seven Kingdoms.
There is another person who, because now they're dabbling into time travel, there is a villain in the Marvel Universe who pretty much that's his entire leitmotif is messing with time, is a villain called Kang the Conqueror,
Okay.
whose whole
That's
shtick is all about messing with time. So he might take this as like a dinner bell to start messing with time as well. I mean, even
Is he
the
obscure, enough to merit bringing him into the mainstream.
no, he's actually pretty well known, all things
Okay.
considered. No, he might be a major factor. And add on to it, the Ancient One did talk about when she was talking about all the cons of giving away the Infinity Stone or giving away the Time Stone. She did talk about the dangers of creating new realities and saying that if it veers away from what needs to happen, it's going to create some pretty harsh realities.
That might help with our time travel issues, by the way.
That will help
Kind of
with-
harkening
it
back
will.
that she did kind of teach us there a lesson of here's the line, here's what happens if you take this stone right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So maybe
But as
Our-
long as
our-
it was
the
returned,
innocent-
it should
yeah.
have set
Yeah.
the path straight.
but
It
if
would
for
set
some
that
reason
path
it's
straight.
not returned, this path keeps going a second one is created.
Exactly.
Maybe I was curious
So-
how all the Soul Stone got returned.
Well, there's a lot of things I'm curious about. First off, how did they, restore the Tesseract into cube form afterwards? How they get the Power Stone back into the orb? Well, they probably just put it back in the orb like they did before. And how they get the ether back into. That must have been an awkward conversation with Rocket with Jane or with Cap with Jane, like saying, "Yeah, this thing that was almost going to kill you.
At least she knew
I
who
gotta
he was.
inject." Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is true.
She would have known who he was at that point.
Yeah. Though I gotta say, I did love.
Soul Stone.
There is one shot-
What do you have to sacrifice to give it back?
There is a shot I gotta say, which cracked my shit up, was when Jane is waking up and Rocket
Yes.
creeps at her, and we don't see anything afterwards except him being chased by the Asgardian.
Because he won. Because he succeeded.
I just
I would
laughed.
have loved to have seen that moment.
Why
when
is
he
the
got it
Soul
back,
Stone
but-
not reversible? When Captain America brought the Soul Stone back, why didn't it give Natasha back?
Who knows? I mean, once again, we also don't know what's happening with this Black Widow movie, for all intents and purposes. I mean, we know that. Well, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Black Widow might be the movie to kick off Phase 4, because if there's any movie that probably do a good job, they might use that movie as a way to foreshadow what might come afterwards.
Because I don't know which one's next after Spider-Man.
I've
None of them have been
heard-
really announced. They've been announced, but not in order.
They've been announced that things are going to happen, but the only Marvel movie I know that apparently is in pre-production right now. Well, there's two I know that are pre-production right now. Black Widow
Yes.
and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Actually, no, that's a
But
lie.
I feel like
I
that
thought
one's
there
actually
was,
still way off because
Well,
they
no,
just
James-
got James Gunn back.
Well, they got James Gunn back. He's working on Suicide Squad right now, but I know that they've even said they're going to try to get a release date of Guardians 2 out by 2021, I think.
So we have Spider-Man coming out this summer. which means we don't have anything lined up for November, which is typically a time
called the
when
Black
a
Panther
Marvel
sequel.
movie comes out.
They've announced all
But
these
there's nothing
sequels.
that can come out in November. There's not enough time for something to come out. in
But I've
November.
also been hearing that they've been talking about a gap year. I've heard.
Oh.
Well,
What the hell is a gap year? When is the Disney streaming service actually being released?
fall of this year.
So they're just focusing on the TV shows.
They may be focusing on getting the
There you
TV
go.
shows up and going.
At
I
the
am
same
telling you,
time.
it will be here before you know it.
Captain
We will be
Marvel.
fine. We will be fine. We
Goose
will,
and Fury.
we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there with love.
Final closing topic for this:
hmm
the final cameo of the great Stan Lee.
That is a good one to end on. And it's, admittedly, it doesn't have the pathos of, like, say, Into the Spider-Verse, which had a really
Right.
good one. But this one just felt
It's the
so,
last one,
it felt so damn right.
and it kind of took him back to his prime.
I actually kind of did,
Yeah.
because I remember he was,
70s Stan Lee.
yeah, it was 70s Stan Lee, and he did have, and he was very socially conscious around that time period, so it was right that he would, do a, to the freaking military camp.
It was quick. It wasn't.
But then again, they didn't predict that they were going to need to make
Right.
it,
But also, what a beautiful, like, his final one being an Endgame of all
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
There's just the
that is
symmetry
right.
there that's just so
I
perfect.
truly did not think until they announced this will be his last cameo. I did not think they would stop it.
It could,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It wouldn't feel right. Actually, I'm liking what they've been doing with a lot of other of Stan Lee's references. Like in Deadpool 2, they just had a billboard with Stan's face on it. In the Marvel Netflix show, there's like little pictures periodically in the background. You see pictures of Stan.
I feel like this was a good movie to have his final cinematic cameo.
I will say though, if Captain Marvel had been his last one, I actually would have been okay with that, considering how it actually felt much more affectionate when you take into account that really is real Stan Lee,
Yes.
as opposed to Watcher Stan Lee.
Yes. Beautiful tribute before Captain Marvel.
Exactly. So if that was his last one, if that was to be his last one, I would have been okay. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't wreck it with a with any kind of post credits thing, because it would have felt cheap. It would have felt like this movie means nothing because we got the next stuff coming along.
Yeah, and I like that
Yes.
I actually kind of, based on what we were just talking about, I kind of like that we don't necessarily know where it's going,
Mm-hmm.
because up until now it's been a lot of the same people,
And
a
that's
lot of the same
another reason-
schedules, and now it's kind of like, what's gonna come next?
Yeah.
Well, and that's another reason I don't buy Spider-Man Far From Home being part of this phase, is because of the fact that they specifically did not include an end credits sequence to tell you where we're going next.
I see this as
To
the
me, that was
end of a
very
phase.
final.
This is the culmination of 22 films all coming together, and the fact that they had this Herculean task and that they encapsulated it all into this one movie. Something that when you pit both Infinity War and Endgame back to back with each other, that is a grandiose achievement, which really, I don't think we've seen this level of filmmaking really
Can you imagine
since
watching this
the Lord of the
movie?
Rings trilogy.
Guys, I just want you to think about this for a second. 11 years from now, sitting on not this couch, I'll have gotten a better couch by then. Hopefully. It's 11 years.
Yeah.
11 years from now, filming another one of these, closing out the next era. And where are we going to be 11 years from now to see that?
Will it be another 3 phases from now?
I guess so.
Well, God willing, we'll be in one of those. I think we all just, in our own way, had our own little fangasm.
I just want to hug America's ass.
Yeah.
America's ass. And I kind of want to hug Dad Bod Thor and tell him it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I just want to jump Hawkeye.
I just want
maybe
to.
before he's like.
I just want an
killing people
insanely
in cartels
awesome
and
suit
shit.
that makes me shrink and grow, and like I can fight enemies, and at the same time,
Yeah, no, I just want to bang Hawkeye. It's fine.
John wants to be a superhero, but
I actually
Pam and
legitimately
I
we
want-
have our priorities in life.
I actually want to be a legitimate superhero here, and to be the little guy. And,
As we're married,
as you can probably tell from the runtime, we had a lot to talk about on this, and it would be upsetting if this movie wasn't good, and we would probably want this over and done with as quickly as possible. So that means that Avengers Endgame was, no doubt,
Flawless.
a flawless, rousing success. So, do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave it in the comments below. And for more addictive content on Narcotic Casserole, simply like, share, subscribe, click.
Did you just snap?
Yes, I did. thou shalt be served.
Half of your subscribers just disappeared.
Way to go.
Oh God, no!
This is gonna work, Steve.
I know it is. Because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
Anyone home? This is Scott Lang. We met a few years ago at the airport in Germany. I got really big.
Is this an old message?
Ant-Man, I know you know that.
To Stan. Yeah. To Stan.
Stan.